My son, my daughter, today I want to speak to you with firmness, but also with love. I want to wrap you in a truth you may have avoided for too long, because there are moments when it is necessary to stop. Not because of physical exhaustion, but because of spiritual discernment. To stop chasing after what never carried my anointing. To stop insisting on doors that were never opened by my spirit. To stop feeding connections that were never sealed in heaven. To stop exhausting yourself over dreams that were never born from my heart. Because there is a difference between what is good and what is anointed. Not everything that attracts you transforms you. Not everything that excites you builds you up. Not everything that looks like a path is true direction, and today, in this very moment, while your soul is restless, I call you into a holy pause, a pause not of surrender but of alignment, a pause that returns you to the center of my will, because chasing things that do not carry my anointing is like running in the desert after mirages. You wear yourself out, you get your hopes up, you become frustrated, and return more thirsty than before. And I did not create you for that. I created you to walk in anointing, to move in grace, to flourish where my presence dwells. My child, there are doors you opened with the force of your own arguments, not with the authority of my name. There are relationships you've maintained out of fear, not with the cement of my peace. There are paths you've walked because everyone said it was best, but you never asked me if it was right. And I saw it all. I saw your effort to sustain what was already collapsing from within. I saw your hidden tears behind victories that don't fulfill you. I saw your sleepless nights trying to understand why something so beautiful on the outside became so empty on the inside. And now I answer you. Because there was no anointing. Because what sustains is not appearance, it is essence. What lasts is not what pleases the eyes, it's what carries the weight of my presence. You must understand, my son, my daughter. The anointing is heaven's seal. It is the breath of my spirit upon what is mine, and where there is no anointing, there is confusion. Where there is no anointing, there is weariness. Where there is no anointing, there is a silence that screams within the soul. I did not create you to live by external noise and internal silence. I created you to live in communion with me, where even silence brings peace. Where even the desert holds purpose. My child, let me show you something. Even the ark, symbol of my glory, when carried incorrectly, struck down those who touched it without reverence. Because what is holy is not to be handled casually. What is mine is not to be approached just any way. And likewise, you cannot keep touching things that appear sacred but do not carry my presence. You must learn to discern the false shine from the true anointing. Not every light comes from above. Not every opportunity comes from heaven. Not every offer comes from my heart. What good is it to gain something if your spirit cannot rest at night? What's the point of having what the world applauds if your heart is at war? I want you to feel peace again, but that peace only comes when you stop chasing what only looks right and start pursuing what is truly anointed. Because the anointing doesn't make you run, it makes you flow. It doesn't wear you out, it sustains you. It doesn't deceive, it reveals. And now, my child, I touch your inner self, because it's useless to change the outside if your heart is still tied to things without anointing. I see bonds you haven't broken because you think there's still something good to rescue. But if there's no anointing, there is no life. If there's no anointing, there is no renewal. Some relationships look alive but died a long time ago. What remains is attachment, fear of being alone, memories of what once seemed promising. But I am here calling you to something new, a new thing that is not born from haste, but from surrender. A new thing that is not born of human effort, but of divine touch. And for that you must let go. Let go of ideas you embraced without consulting me. Let go of expectations that became burdens. Let go of comparisons that make you sick, because as long as your hands are full chasing what lacks anointing, you won't have free hands to receive what I've prepared. And I do have something to give you, but I cannot place it in hands that are still clinging to the old out of fear of losing everything. My child, you will not lose. You will be set free. Hear me. Anointing is not something you buy or earn or fabricate. It is poured out. It is presence. It is the fruit of intimacy. When you walk in anointing, even the driest land becomes fertile. Even the darkest valley fills with songs. Even the bitterest tear becomes a seed. But when you walk without anointing, everything becomes heavy. Everything becomes a struggle, everything becomes draining, and you begin to believe that life with me is only suffering. But the suffering comes from your insistence on walking paths I never told you to walk. My will is good, perfect, and pleasing, but it can only be lived by those who have the courage to leave what is good in order to live what is anointed. The world will offer shortcuts, but anointing builds eternal roads. The world will offer sparkle, but anointing brings true light. The world promises success, but anointing gives purpose. And that's what I want for you, purpose. Not a full stage and an empty heart, not a beautiful house and a ruined soul, but true, deep, lasting fullness. So today, stop, breathe, look around you. What are you chasing? Who are you trying to impress? What dream have you embraced without asking whether it was my plan or just a distraction? Come back to me. Return to the secret place. Return to the word. Return to the altar. Because at the altar, I pour out anointing. At the altar, I align your heart. At the altar, I expose what is out of place and restore with grace what has been wounded. At the altar, I remind you who you are so that you will never again accept to live as someone without identity. Because my child does not beg for approval, does not beg for love, does not beg for purpose. He walks with dignity because he carries the mark of the anointing. And that anointing doesn't come from hurry, it comes from surrender. Now make a decision, not an emotional one, not an impulsive one, but a decision in the spirit. Decide to stop chasing what never carried anointing and decide to follow me, even if it seems slower, harder, lonelier. Because the path of anointing is not for the hurried, it's for the obedient, and I honor those who obey me. I lift up those who listen to me, I bless those who choose my presence over appearances. And when you stop chasing what lacks anointing, you will discover that the anointing was chasing you all along, just waiting for you to stop so it could reach you. And when it reaches you, my child, when my anointing completely envelops you, you will understand that none of what you were rushing after was necessary. You'll see that what you needed most was not to conquer something new, but to allow me to rebuild what was broken inside you. Because my anointing is not just power that enables, it is a balm that heals. It heals the restless mind, the wounded heart, the fragmented faith, the sleeping hope. When it rests upon you, you rise different. You walk with a new posture. You see with new eyes. And so today, I do not offer you shortcuts. I offer you covenant. I do not offer you stages. I offer you endurance. I do not offer you fame. I offer you fire. Because anointing is not a prize for the most hard-working, it is an inheritance for the children who choose me, even when everything seems harder. So let me lead you through paths the world doesn't understand, paths where there are no applause but there is peace, where there are no crowds but there is intimacy, where there are no human guarantees but there are eternal promises. Walk with me on that narrow road, where speed doesn't matter because every step is guided by my hand. And when the dark days come, and they will come, you will not walk alone. My anointing will be a pillar of fire at night and a cloud of protection by day. And when doubts come, when silence comes, when criticism or abandonment comes, you will remember, it was here that I chose to stop. It was here that I stopped chasing what lacked anointing. It was here that I began to be led by God and no longer by fear, vanity, or the need to prove something. And I will be with you. I will be there when your voice is heard and when it's ignored. I will be there when you are honored and when you are forgotten. I will be there when you stand firm and when your body is weak, because whoever chooses to walk in my presence never walks alone, and at the right time. In the time of anointing, I myself will open doors. I myself will move hearts. I myself will raise up those who need to hear you. And what is truly yours will not require rush, only consistency. What is anointed by me will come with peace, remain without desperation, and bear fruit without manipulation. And what is not anointed, what is not, will fall on its own. Because what lacks anointing may begin beautifully, but it will not last. So today, my son, my daughter, I call you to spiritual maturity, to a new level of discernment, to a new dimension of surrender, no longer moved by human expectations, but led by my spirit. Because those who are led by me live by purpose, not by need, and those who carry my anointing are like trees planted by the waters. Even when no one sees them, they keep growing. Even when the wind blows, they do not fall. Even when everything seems still, they keep bearing fruit in silence. So stop and remain. Remain in the secret place, remain in obedience, remain where there is anointing, even if the world says there's no progress, because in my presence even apparent delay carries purpose. And in the end you will see that stopping was the greatest advance of your life, because it was there that I found you. It was there that I healed you. It was there that I anointed you. So you would never again chase what never carried my anointing. And now, beloved, as you remain, I want to whisper things that can only be heard by those who are still. I want to reveal secrets that don't come to the hurried, but to the yielded. You have asked me for direction, for clarity, for signs, but what I seek is your closeness. For direction is not always in the next step. Sometimes it is found in deeper communion with me. You often wonder why I take time to answer. You search for confirmations in circumstances, in people, in open doors. But there are times when I withdraw the noise just so your heart can rediscover the sound of my voice. The voice that is not loud, not thunderous, but constant and holy. The voice that never misleads, never flatters, never manipulates. It simply draws you closer because it is rooted in love. You must learn to differentiate between opportunities that flatter your ego and assignments that cultivate your soul. Many things will promise you greatness, but only few will anchor you in purpose. I do not offer you platforms to make you visible. I offer you callings that make you faithful. And faithfulness is what I reward. You have mourned closed doors, but some doors were not slammed shut to punish you. They were sealed to protect you, because what was behind them would have consumed you, distorted you, or made you forget me. And I would rather you walk through a narrow gate with me than run through a wide one alone. In this season, I am calling you to recognize my fingerprints, not in the loud moments of life, but in the quiet confirmations of peace. When your spirit rests, when your soul ceases striving, when you no longer feel the need to prove your worth, that's when you'll know. I am here. You've been taught to equate my presence with constant movement, but sometimes my presence is a divine stillness. A stillness that doesn't mean nothing is happening, but that everything is aligning in ways you cannot yet see. The roots grow deep before the tree ever rises. Let me be clear, I am not delaying to frustrate you. I am aligning you to sustain what I want to give you, because blessings without foundation become burdens. And you've already carried enough weight that wasn't yours to bear. This time I want you to rise with strength that comes from depth. There are seasons where I don't increase your visibility, but I expand your capacity, because if I gave you more now without first deepening your roots, it would crush you. But I love you too much to give prematurely what requires maturity to carry. And yes, I see that you're tired of waiting, but I do not count your waiting as wasted. Every moment you've stayed faithful in the hidden place, every tear you've cried while others moved ahead, every act of obedience you made when no one saw, I have written it all in my memory. I do not forget the quiet faithfulness of my beloved. Many will measure you by what is visible, but I measure by what is rooted. I look beneath the surface, where endurance is forged, where integrity is built, where motives are purified. That's why I sometimes strip away what others praise, so that what remains is not performance, but truth. I know you want answers, but sometimes I offer transformation instead. Because answers may ease your mind, but transformation strengthens your spirit. And it's your spirit I'm after, not just your understanding. I'm forming something in you that doesn't depend on circumstances to remain whole. You've grown used to fighting battles with your own hands. But in this season, I am teaching you to win by resting. Not a passive rest, but a confident trust that allows me to be God while you remain surrendered. There is power in your posture. Don't misread silence as absence. Don't interpret delay as denial. Don't confuse stillness with stagnation. I'm doing more behind the scenes than you could ever imagine. You only see one thread. I see the entire tapestry. You feel the pressure. I see the purpose. There are some things I remove from your life, not because they're evil, but because they're not part of your design. Just because something is permissible doesn't mean it's profitable. I want you to walk not only in freedom, but in precision. Your calling is not general, it is specific. And because of that, your path will look different. You won't be able to mimic others or borrow blueprints. What I am doing in you is original. and it requires total dependence on me. That's why comparison will always confuse you. You keep asking me, why can't I be like them? But I didn't call you to be them. I called you to be fully you in me. And becoming that will take both fire and favor. I will refine you, yes, but I will also surround you with grace that sustains. My child, you do not need to seek validation from broken systems. You do not need to strive for inclusion into circles I never called you to fit in. When I appoint you, I also anoint you, and the anointing makes room in ways human effort never can. Do not fear being set apart. Separation is not rejection, it is preparation. I separate before I elevate. I prune before I multiply. And in your case, I am removing not because you are less, but because you are meant for more than you can presently carry. You may not see the evidence yet, but trust me, the seeds you have planted in hidden obedience will not die in the soil. I've already scheduled their blooming in my perfect timing. Even the dark is part of their growth process. I know your heart still aches from past disappointments, from dreams that didn't manifest, from prayers that felt unheard, from people who left when you needed them most. But I want you to know, not a single tear was unnoticed. I have collected each one like treasure, and I am redeeming it all. Every season of loneliness, every misunderstood sacrifice, every silent yes you gave me when it cost you dearly. I'm bringing a harvest from it. Nothing given to me is ever wasted. I want you to trust again, not just in my timing, but in my nature. I am not unpredictable. I'm constant. I do not change with the seasons. I remain faithful through them. I do not lead you into confusion. I lead you into deeper clarity. And if the road gets darker before it gets brighter, do not panic. Sometimes I cover your path not to confuse you, but to train your spiritual ears. Because I want you to follow my voice more than you follow outcomes. I want your confidence in me, not in what you see. You've asked me for clarity, but now I ask you for commitment. Will you trust me even when I don't show you the whole plan? Will you follow when the light only shines on the next step? Will you obey when it doesn't make sense to others? I will not force you, but I will invite you. Daily, repeatedly, quietly. I will whisper in moments when you're tempted to go back. I will stir your spirit when you try to settle in places I've called you to leave. My love is persistent, not controlling, but compelling. This is not just about a season of transition, it's about becoming the person I've always seen in you.